Hello, good morning, good afternoon, world. We are saying hello from the Astrato headquarters today with Jane Lee from Industry Solutions team, Piers Batchelor, and Joe Bickley from a product team, and myself, Martin Mahler. Very excited to be here. It's the summer, it's hot. I think here in the UK we experience, one of the hottest weeks. I think it was the hottest day, I think, since they started recording it. And of course, we thought, we're not going to skip this July session. We're going to keep it a bit more lightweight with the Astrato Live Summer Edition together with an ice cream. So super excited for you. Sorry, to see a couple of interesting things. Jane will be introducing the competition we've been having in the last couple of weeks and the new upcoming data competition that are coming. And then Piers will walk you through a couple of new features we've still been working on despite, the summer holidays. And then Joe will show you a very interesting short demo of how to get data into Snowflake. As always, keep asking questions directly in the live stream. And other than that, we're here to have fun, a bit more informal than usual, and looking forward to be engaging with you guys. Moving on, I think over to you, Jane.
Yes. Okay. So as you guys might know, that we had a challenge called the GoodViz challenge with Snowflake using Snowflake. And the goal was to find ways to get your business, whatever it might be, up to the top. So up to the top of the environmental conscious scale. So we provided data, and we have some winners here, and the runners up are Taylor King and Yogi. I'm so sorry if I butcher your last name, Achielos. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who participated. We've got some really notable mentions here at the next slide. Honorary mentions here. Everyone did such a great job, but we have to announce our winners. It was a winning team, actually, and they've done such a great job. And you can check out their work on community.astrato.io. And it was Lee Smith and Johem. I'm going to butcher the last name. I won't even try this one. And Johem, but you guys did such a good job. Congratulations to you and everyone who participated. We have ongoing DataViz challenges every month with Data DNA. And this month, it just ended today. It was a Pokemon DNA challenge. Look forward to us announcing the winners on the 31st. And stay tuned for more challenges in the future.
All right, great. Thanks for that, Jane. So I think really good examples of what you can achieve with Astrato when you're given a data set to work with and apply a bit of creativity. But for this part of the session, what we wanted to go through was, if you're interested in using the Astrato tool and you're wondering how you can build something just as creative and experience some of the features and capabilities in the product, how do you get started? How do you get data to be able to work with? And what we find quite a lot with some of our prospects that we work with is that it takes a bit of time to maybe get data in the right state. So what I'm going to show is some ways that you can get a head start to experience some of the features within Astrato with data that either we provide or that's really fast and easy to access, so that you can get working straight away. So what I'll do is I'll jump into Astrato, and what I have here is a brand new Astrato tenant. So if you go to astrato.io, sign up for a tenant, you'll get free access to this. And one of the first buttons you'll see in the UI is to import a bunch of our demo assets. And what that will add is these 4 little workbooks with sets of data that sits behind them. And we host that data for you, so that you can start experiencing and looking at applications. So for example, if I fire up this application, I can look at some sports sales-based information. But often you maybe don't want to see something that's already finished. You want to start building something to experience how that process works yourself. So what we additionally expose when we import demo assets is we also allow you to build entirely new workbooks of your own on the same or some of our sample data. So if I create a new workbook and pick on a new data view, you'll see here that I've got a sample Snowflake connection that I can select, and I can start exploring the demo sets of data that we work with. So all of the same data sets that sit behind those demo apps are here, plus a couple of extra ones that we've used in some of our competitions so far. So for example, I could look at this F1 results table, for example, and I could decide to start building a workbook on it straight away. So within a few clicks, I'm able to start experiencing the product. And let's go ahead and create let's do a quick bar chart of the data I show. And this isn't too important, but just to show how quickly you can get started. We'll go with constructors in Formula One and the points that they've totaled over time. So let's sum those up. So very quickly, you can start working with data based on things that we host for you. So you don't have to do any of the technical setup from within the Snowflake environment just to start experiencing how you can get to some of the deeper level features and start getting creative with applications in Astrato. So once you've done that, you'll probably want to looking at your own content. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. So first of all, if you don't have Snowflake up and running today, or maybe you don't have access to your production instance straight away, but you still want to work with your own instance, a Snowflake trial will get you started to cover you for 30 days without any charge. So head to or just Google for Snowflake trial and you can get one started. What I've got here is one that I created yesterday just to show a couple of ways that, again, you can work with different data. So within Snowflake, you can head to their marketplace and you can start browsing through popular shared data sets that you might want to work with. So for example, here, there's a COVID data set. I can click on it, click on Get, and it will add that into my Snowflake trial instance for me. So if I go back here, if I go back here and refresh my data, you'll see now I've just added this brand new COVID schema into my Snowflake instance that I can start using to build up workbooks on. It's a whole range of different data that you might want to go and work with. So back into Astrato, once I've got that defined, I can start connecting to it. Let's do that step again. So I'm going to create a new data source. I'm going to pick on Snowflake here. I'm going to copy my Snowflake account details just from my little notepad here and see how quickly and accurately I can type all this in and test that connection, jump straight in, and I can start looking at the data that I just added in. So again, I haven't had to do a whole load of technical importing of data just to get to data that I want to be able to just start exploring how Astrato works based on a data set that's maybe more applicable to you or interesting to you or your industry. I'm actually going to pick this Astrato one just for the sake of this demo because I've prepped a couple of other pieces in here as well. But if I click on Connect, what I did was I took one of the existing tables that were there just so I could work with some COVID data just to show it. And same thing again, a couple of clicks, I can start to build up and create my workbook. I'm skipping through a few of the features that we have in terms of for speed in terms of this demo, just to show how quickly you can get through to creating content. But again, I can straight away just dive in here, maybe start looking at a bar chart of COVID cases over time. So let's pick a couple of examples. Let's pick a country and some of cases. And I can start here looking at maybe some of the other features that we have in the product. So let's quickly just change the sort order of this chart. And maybe I just want to focus on the top 20 to go top 20 or so records in this instance. And there we go. So really quickly gone from zero Snowflake infrastructure, create a trial, import a data set, connect to it through Astrato and visualize it straight away. So now you can start applying whatever creativity you want on top of it in terms of exploring data and getting value really quickly. Okay, so that's all great with data that's maybe not yours, not part of your company's data. So the next thing is you want to work with data that you have created or you have got from your own organization. So within that trial instance of Snowflake, you might want to start adding your own data. So what I can do using one of our features is I can remove this table of COVID data. Let's click on yes. and I'm going to use our little CSV upload tool. So often within the systems you have, you maybe find it relatively straightforward to get an extract of data, or maybe you've got an Excel file or something that you want to start working with to trial something out. And so I can add that into here quite easily. So I'm going to pick a CSV that I've got on my local machine. I've got some products here, first of all. And what I'm going to do with this is, I've got to pop it right in the way of the button I need to use. There we go. I can add a table called products. I'm going to click on save. And what that's now going to do is take that data, upload it into my Snowflake instance, and now it's instantly available for me to start building content on top of. And I can keep repeating that process to add other tables as well. So if I want to work with my sales data, then I can do that as well. So let's run through that. Let's change the name. I've done this before, so I've got to rename my tables. Click on save. This one's a little bit larger, so it'll take a few moments to do. But one of the things that can be quite technically challenging if you're starting out with Snowflake is how do you get data in a nice, simple way. So this tool is quite a good way to kind of cut the corners a little bit in terms of the speed that you might want to do, just to work with some data and explore Astrato really quickly. And again, I can now start using some of the other features in the product. So let's join these two tables together, and I can go back to my workbook, get rid of my COVID chart, and I can start now building something like, let's have a look, what do we got? We've got sales by, let's pick our product line and add our sales amount as a sum. So again, very quickly, just gone from no data at all to working with trial data, working with public shared data from the Snowflake marketplace, and now working with my own data that I've got directly from local files, staged into a Snowflake environment. So that's really quick ways you can get started working with data. I'll show one other final one, which is always useful as the next one, which is if you don't want to use Snowflake initially, you can also use our other data sources to help. So we support 2 others currently. We're looking at adding support for more. One of which is Postgres. So if you have Postgres databases, typically these might be hosted by yourselves in a cloud provider such as GCP or Azure, or you can also use Google Sheets. And if you use Google Sheets, you just need to log in with your Google credentials. In my case, I'll use our Astrato login. Just give it some permissions so that it's able to read and fetch your Google Sheets. And you should be then able to start browsing through. And here I have exactly the same CSV files that I have in my local drive, but all worked as spreadsheets in Google Sheets instead. Click on connect. And I can now start bringing that in as a table into Astrato, start building my workbooks. It would look exactly the same as the other data. So I won't go ahead and build anything on top of this one, but you can see we've got the same information, the same data, the same fields that are included. There are some limitations with working with Google Sheets because we're focused on SQL generation, so we have to do some translations for Google Sheets. But it's certainly a good way for you to experience the product if you don't have Snowflake ready and accessible to use. So real quick ways of basically how do you get to explore, to get access to things like some of the competitions that we run, and to be able to just start evaluating all of the capabilities that we have in Astrato. So that covers my section. So I will stop sharing now. And then I think we're going to hand over to Piers to take a look at some of our latest features in the product. So over to you, Piers.
Thanks, Joe. You should be able to see my screen. There we go. So I'll take you through some of our new features. We have improved some existing ones. We have added some new ones. I'm going to start with the largest item on the screen, the largest object, and it's this heat map. What a great way to show off a custom gradient. So in here, I'm going to open up my palettes, and I have my palettes that I've already got loaded that come with the Astrato, and I have a custom palette as well. So I can select that, and now I want to go back in and edit it. So my custom palette here, I have a range, which is looking at the range of the sales values for my salespeople over time. And let's say I want to add another color in. I can pick a light green. I'm happy with that. Drag that up here, and you can see that everything's quite light green now. Actually, I want to make that a little bit darker, nice and easy to edit it. And maybe I want to decide that this value is a little bit too high. What I want to focus my analysis on is within the 500,000 range. So now my gradient changes, and maybe I don't want to look at values that are less than 100,000. Now I'm consistently looking at the same ranges, and it's not changing. I'll just change that back to the minimum. The same ranges whilst filtering through my data. So one thing that can happen in many other BI products is you're navigating your data, and the gradient shifts to suit the axis scale, which means that those greens now become a different color. They could become a red, a blue, whatever it is. So we're making sure that the custom gradient is there to support your analysis, and it's consistent no matter how you want to slice and dice your data. Another thing that we have new as well is the date grouping. We have date extracts in there. So at the moment, you can see I've got it set to month year. The default format is looking at the date itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out each quarter to see if we can see any patterns that occur over time. And I'll remove the cap on my gradient here. So we can see that Q4 is the one with the most activity at the moment. So if I change that to, let's say, change that to week, we can look over time throughout the weeks over the year. So we can see at the end of certain quarters. If I sort this again, at the end of certain quarters, that's where the activity is. So it helps identify patterns. I've changed that back to month year pretty easily, and change the format as well. So there's lots of potential here. It's an entirely no-code feature, and we have that across all of our visualizations that are working with date fields, which leads me to my next one to present. Let's look at time travel. So time travel I have on the top left-hand corner. We're looking at ARR here. So one of the things that you might do when looking at subscription revenue is compare where we were a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4. So if I'm in a finance team, might want to explain why I have a difference in numbers. Maybe a drop. It could be to do with FX rate. So if I go in here, I can go into the filters section, and at my time travel, I can see that I've set that to -7 days. So we're looking a week back in time. I can see that's 36.87 million, and then I can go here, and 2 weeks ago, that's 14 days ago. It's a simple offset. All of that, of course, is no code. And if I add a filter here, click apply, and it's updated based on the product. Still, of course, no code feature. I can slice and dice everything and do that explorative analysis. So let's see what marketing was and see if that's adding a lot into the product. Yeah, so 4 weeks ago, that's added quite a lot. That's added about $0.6 million. We can see that that's growing pretty well in the last 4 weeks. That's great progress in the team. Another thing that you may not have seen, if I quickly go back and add those filters in, is the filter chips as well. So we're continuing to improve that. You can see how many are selected up here. You can invert the selection as well and select all, etc. and click apply. Of course, we wish to apply the selection so that we fire the queries all at once and make sure the live query is as optimized as possible. So I'll show you what that looks like, the time travel feature, inside a chart. Let's see, 20 days ago. So revenue run per quarter, I'll change the title. And we'll say revenue run per quarter. There's a slight difference. A little bit further back. A little bit too ambitious, 25 days ago. We'll see that Q3 was very, very small at 8K, and over here, 474K. So that's what we've achieved in 25 days. And that concludes the very brief update on features. Back to Martin.
Wonderful. As you may have noticed, I finished off my ice cream. A great show, a great demo, great winners of data competitions, and we are back to the sun. This one's short for a reason. A lot of people are on holidays. I read you as well, but other than that, a lot of exciting things are happening, and more so, being worked on and being shipped. So expect the August Live one to be really, really bombastic. But until then, I thank you very much for your attendance. Keep following us and keep following our upcoming webinars. Oh, here we go. Here's the roadmap. Piers, thank you for dropping that in. Google BigQuery is coming in. Dreamio is coming in very, very, very soon. So for those of you who are not on Snowflake but find Astrato very exciting, you'll be seeing many more. And workbook actions. I think this is a very, very big ticket item and extremely unique in the data analytics space. Nobody else has it. And yeah, get excited to see this and to test it. And until then, we're here available for you. Please reach out and have a great afternoon and morning in the US. Take care, everyone.